Hey guys, so today we're going to look at comparing fractions using 1/2 as a benchmark. Again, this is a review, something that you've done earlier in the school year. Let me fix the screen. I'm going to use this tool like I used in yesterday's video. I gave you the link in your slides. Use the link to access this in case you need help drawing the models. These models will help you. I also want you to understand what does it mean to compare to 1/2 and without using the models. You will be completing an assignment today and you will have to understand why a fraction is greater or less than 1/2, and you need to be able to explain in your own words or justify how you know that fraction is greater than or less than or equal to 1/2. I'm going to start by first giving some fractions, and then we're going to talk about what we know about these fractions. All right, so my first fraction is 3/8, and we're going to prove this. 3/8 is less than 1/2. So if we are comparing using benchmark fractions, we're going to start looking at 1/2, and what do we know about 3/8 compared to 1/2? Sometimes whenever we compare fractions, using benchmark fractions are an easier way for us to compare. The first thing you need to do is you need to focus on the denominator, because you need to understand, well, what is 1/2 of 3/8? How can we compare it to 1/2? We have to understand what is 1/2 of that 8. So when you focus on your denominator, you know that 1/2 of 8 is 4. Okay, so that's something we need to remember, is that 1/2 of 8 is 4. Okay, so if 1/2 of 8 is 4 and I only have 3 of those pieces, I have less than 4. 3 is less than 4, so 3 is less than that 1/2. So this is actually less than 1/2. So then I can go back and I can reread this. I know that 3/8 is less than 1/2 because 1/2 of the 8s would be 4 of them. So 3/8 is less than 1/2. This is true. So we know that this was true, and we can prove it by thinking out loud, kind of just like I did. Now, the other thing you could do is you could draw the models, but I want you to understand how to figure out 1/2. Okay, I don't want you going straight to drawing the models. As you get into much larger fractions, models will not work for you. Okay, but you can draw a model to kind of justify, just to check your work. Okay, if I have 8, I know what is 1/2 of 8 is 4. We'll only have 3 shaded in. I could draw another model. Remember, I'm comparing to 1/2, so this will have 2 parts. Line them up, shade in 1/2, and you will see that 3 is less than 1/2. That is another way that you can compare these fractions.